Good evening, everyone, and happy Tuesday. If you've already had a great day today, stay tuned because it's about to get even better. Now, this past year has been hard, to say the least, especially for students who had to leave their classrooms almost a full year ago and do everything from their homes. This has undoubtedly put stress on students, parents, and teachers. With that being said, if you are a child, youth, or college student in need of academic assistance to get you through the remainder of this school year, you are invited to register for support through our tutoring ministry. Our church has been blessed with gifted tutors who have made themselves available to help you succeed. All meetings are virtual and will take place on Tuesdays from 6 to 8 p.m., as well as Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. Visit our website to register yourself or your children for a virtual tutoring session, and be sure to email tutor@wheelerbc.org if you have any questions. Another area that has been hit hard is the workplace. Last Friday, the Avenues to Employment Ministry hosted a virtual job fair, and I pray that it served as a blessing to everyone involved. As I mentioned last week, we are highlighting Black love on the Avenue. The national theme for Black History Month this year is the Black family, representation, identity, and diversity. So, we have a diverse group of couples who have so graciously agreed to share with us throughout the month on topics related to love and family. Tonight, we will be hearing from 3 couples who will be sharing from very different perspectives. I think you all will enjoy this. First, we have Deacon and Deaconess William and Lelia Stallings, who have shared a beautiful life together for 67 years. Then, we will have Deacon and Deaconess Charles and Carolyn Brown, who have shared an active and adventurous life together for 65 years. Let's hear from them now. Thank you both so much for being here, Deacon and Deaconess Stallings. You look beautiful. Thank you. You know, I know it's been forever since we were all in the sanctuary together, but I really used to enjoy watching you two in service. Mrs. Stallings, you always look so happy, and you two just look like you fit. What has it been like being married for nearly 68 years?
I would say that it's been good. It have not been all bad. We've had more good days than we've had bad days. Getting married to him, he's a lot of fun, and in spite of whatever is going on, he can always have something cheerful to cheer you up about. Right. So it's been good.
Good.
Yes.
What about you, Deacon Stallings?
We've been married for 67 years, and so many of my friends want to know, how did you get there? How do you make 67 years? And I give them this illustration. The late Henry Ford and his wife celebrated their 50th anniversary, and they had so much luck in building their new cars. And he told them that why he had so much luck, he stuck with the same model. I want to use this example with her. I use the same model. I don't ever change models with her. She's the same thing today and yesterday and forevermore.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So tell us, we have to start from the beginning. How did this love story start? Where did it all begin? Who noticed who first?
I think I noticed her first. She didn't know I was looking, but I was looking at the corner of my eye ever since I met her, and I wouldn't tell her. So she, when I got ready to get married, I kept asking about marriage, and finally she said, "Do you have a job?" And that has been the thing I've been doing ever since I married. I kept a job, and that's kept me with her, because she didn't want nobody that wouldn't work.
Absolutely.
We met in high school, and it was ironic. We used to have what we call assemblies, That's been years and years ago. They don't do that, I don't think, anymore, before you went into class. So the principal asked a question one day, have we been thinking about getting married and having a family? And for some reason, I was the first person that was asked, have you been thinking about that? And are you thinking about getting married? And I said, yes, and he's going to be my husband. And that was in high school.
Wow.
And sure enough, we started dating and we got married, and here we are
Beautiful.
for 67 years.
So tell me about that jewelry that you have on. What's the story behind that?
Now, behind what?
Me?
The jewelry that Mrs. Stallings has on.
Oh, he gave me, okay, this watch he gave me in my senior year.
Lovely.
I was afraid to take it because my mother and father was old-fashioned, I would say, at that time. And you didn't take anything from a boy. Mm-hmm. And when he gave me this watch, that was a big gift. And I said, William, I don't know if you can give me this watch. I said, you better take it back. He said, no, you take it and ask your parents, is it all right for you to keep it? So I did, and my mother and father agreed that I could keep it. That was nice of him to give me. And this was the first gift he gave me. Wow. And I still have it. I was a senior in high school.
Beautiful.
I think you can't be together this long without love. And I think somebody told me the greatest definition of love is action. And if you don't have no action, you have no love. So she was a great cook, and she liked to make them German chocolate cakes.
Wow.
But the doctor don't like me to have them. And when I go to get a piece of cake, I had to pet her up. I hug her and kiss her and tell she, I said, how sweet you are. And if I had 10,000 arms, I'd hug you with all of them. And she looked at me and said, you liar, you don't hug me with the two you got. But
that is so beautiful how you all have been able to still have fun and keep that love alive, even after 67 years. So we've talked about the good things, but think about those hard times. What was it in those difficult seasons that made you two stick together and tackle those moments as a team?
I can remember him being in the service, and he wanted me to come and live with him while he was there. I was able to do that. We had a one-bedroom apartment, and we shared everything else with another couple and their children.
Wow.
And it wasn't easy because I had never experienced that before. And he said, honey, if you just hold out, he said, when I get out of the Army, we'll get an apartment, and we'll have an apartment all by ourselves. That was encouraging, I thought. When he got out of the service, we moved to Indiana. He was in Washington. We moved to Indiana. And he found an apartment, and the apartment was an attic. And I had to share the kitchen with the landlord and her family. So that wasn't good at all, you know. And I had one child, and then I had another baby while we were living in the attic. And he kept saying to me, he says, honey, he said, I'm doing the best that I can. And I said, I know you are. He said, but the most important thing, we love each other. And I said, yeah, but I'm in this attic with these two babies, and the landlord doesn't want us making any noise. I'm not used to that. He said, hold out, just hold out. And so I did. I did everything he asked me to do. So we finally got a little 3-room apartment, and that was like heaven for me. That was a big thing. And we moved from there. That's point A. Then we moved to point B, where we built a home. And so we was blessed that then we had 3 children, that our children was raised up in the home instead of in an apartment. And I was happy.
Nice. So, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say we may be leaving off something you ought to hear about, because we got married and had to ride the train from St. Louis, Missouri to Mississippi all night. And we got off and had to wait. We got married. We didn't have a wedding. We got married by the Justice of the Peace. I don't know if you know what that is now. They have these long gowns now, and the wedding costs all that money. I paid $5 for her, and the Justice of the Peace, he said I was in the Army. He gave me $2 back, so I had $3 invested in her, and that paid off pretty good. Just $3 for about 25 years before we got a gown to march down the aisle.
Nice.
Yeah, but we made it.
Those investments have surely paid
And
off.
she's still cooking biscuits, bacon, and eggs. That's all I want. She's good at that.
So is it safe to say that your favorite thing about your spouse is her cooking?
Yeah, she cooked. Yeah. Our first job was, I think I was making, because she wanted me to be married. I mean, have a job when I got married. Mm-hmm. And I just kept going. She said, when you going to work? I told her I got a job. And I was making $1.50 a day. And we had to live off of that. But she didn't leave. We just stayed there. And those are some times you have to just put up with stuff and do it the best you can, right, and make life easy. I had some friends once, because she didn't pay me no attention how I look. I know it didn't look that good, but she just put up with me. And I had a friend, and I tell my young people now, because a young lady where I work at in East Chicago wanted to know what we do, what she liked about her, asked me if I could help her find a boyfriend. And I told her I'd do my best. So I found her a boyfriend, and then they went out, and I came back 2 weeks later. I said, how you like him? And she looked at me out of her eye and said, well, you know, I don't really like him that much. I said, what's wrong with him? She said, well, he don't look like Casanova. And I said, well, baby, you don't look like the Queen of Sheba either. So sometimes you have to take what you can get. Everybody, all these ladies, they looking for somebody 6 feet tall with expanded shoulders and the heavy voice. But that don't get bacon and eggs done. So
you have to look beyond the superficial.
You got to look beyond all that superficial stuff. So she had to look beyond so much stuff to take me, because I know I wasn't looking right, didn't dress right.
Well, you two look great now.
Do I look right now?
Yes.
I'm gonna hang on in there now.
Mrs. Stallings, what's your favorite thing about your husband?
My favorite thing is about him, he's very humble, very passionate, slow to anger. It takes a lot to upset William. And I like that about him. And I know I can probably be a little fussy sometime, and he ignored, and he just keep going, you know, and then that bothers me. But I guess I would say his compassion for me being, for him just being who he is with me. That's what I would have to say.
Beautiful. Well, that's a great note to end on. Thank you both for being here and spending a little bit of time talking about your love with us. We really appreciate it.
We done?
Yes, we're done.
Thank you.
We can go to lunch and still do this.
That would be lovely.
Thank you much for asking me.
Thank you for coming.
What is this?
Oh, lovely. Thank you. Deacon and Deaconess Brown, thank you so much for being here with us this evening. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for having us.
Good. You two look lovely and you look happy. So what is it that has kept those smiles on your faces for nearly 66 years?
I won't say hard times or good times, times.
Times.
T-I-M-E-S.
Okay, what about you, Deaconess Brown?
Times also,
It's been pretty good times, you would say, through these years?
very good times.
Very good times. Talk to us about some of those times. What has been your favorite part?
Good.
Watching sports,
Really?
going to sports.
So those
Sport.
were your date nights, going to sports games?
Yes.
Good. So what is the story here? How did you two meet and fall in love?
At a football game.
Oh, wow. You met at a football game? What game was that? Do you remember who was playing?
I don't remember, it was a high school game,
High school game.
but I don't remember who was playing. At that time, he was coaching at a high school, and I was working at a high school.
Nice. So what was your favorite thing about your spouse in those early years? What drew you two to each other? Anything about your husband that just makes you just smile?
The way he is.
The way he is? How is he?
You better define that.
Is he funny?
Yes.
So you two are still laughing and joking with each other even after all this time.
Yes.
That's a beautiful thing. So what is your favorite thing now? I know we can't go to sports games anymore. So what do you do now? Do you watch your sports games on television?
I watch them on television
Still.
and go to some.
Oh, you're still going to games?
Still go to the
Wow. Nice. What kind of games do you like? Football, basketball?
football.
Nice. What about you, Deacon Brown?
I like all sports, but I'm not as enthusiastic about watching much now. I do it passing by when I'm getting a snack and all like that. Not too involved with any individual teams or anything.
Nice. Well, in our speaking earlier, you mentioned the importance of Christianity to you. What role has your faith played in your marriage?
Kept us together.
How so?
People different. Nobody thinks alike. If you got to have a mediator, and Christianity is the mediator.
Nice.
To me. Carolyn has to tell you about her now.
What about you?
Oh, it has kept us together as a family. Family means a lot to me.
Really? Talk to us a little bit about that, about your family. You have children?
I have 3 daughters,
Nice.
and we took our vacations on sports events, maybe going to coaching school or something. So we always travel together as a family in watching our sports.
So tell me about your most recent vacation. I know you haven't traveled in the past year or so, but what was your last vacation or your most favorite vacation that you all took as a family or as a couple?
Oh, to coaching school in San Antonio was the last vacation I guess we had, going to a coaching clinic in San Antonio, Texas.
Nice.
And as a result, all of us went that, as we used to do when the children were young.
Nice. What about you, Deacon Brown? What has been your favorite vacation?
I'm trying to think. I think it was the '88 Cotton Bowl. They followed everywhere we went and did everything. They had a motorhome. They had a motorhome, and they went everywhere we went. And that was one time that we were together all day, and the children didn't sleep at night. Not at bowl games. And that's the last one that I really enjoyed. I went to so many. I can't.
Nice. Well, what would you say has been the key to your longevity in your marriage? I know you mentioned Christianity has been a great mediator. Is there anything else that you would say has really just sustained you all through these decades?
If I use one word, I would say empathy.
Empathy. Talk to us about that a little bit.
Well, empathy is put yourself in the other person's shoes.
Okay.
If you don't agree, try to get in their shoes. Not too long now, but long enough to try to be so Christ-like.
That's nice.
Am I think that the mic up high enough. Did you hear it?
I can hear. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely. Mrs. Brown, what about you? What word would you use to describe the key to longevity in your marriage?
The key would be us staying together as a family with the children. As a result, we took them everywhere we went.
Wow.
And when we went to sports activities, the football players were like our children also. As a matter of fact, now we still get calls from them. A lot of them call me mother, still call me that. And we hear from them always, so.
That help keep us.
They what?
I just said she was saying what helped keep us together.
And I think that's the thing that has kept us together.
That's good. So we've been in this quarantine together. What are some of your what are some things that you all do in the house to keep yourselves, just having a good time?
What now?
Yes.
Go ahead. You want me to go first?
You go
Okay.
ahead.
Well, since Mother had the stroke in September, we haven't done a lot together but talk.
Okay, good.
But before then, I would say watching things together and talking about the things that's going on, because since last February, we haven't been going. Most of our board meetings and things that we're involved in are virtual. I don't go anywhere, and I came today because of her, but we.
Well, thank you.
Go ahead, Carol. Ask her.
What?
Ask her.
Just some of your favorite things, some of the ways that you've been enjoying this season of being in the house together.
Well, I just enjoyed being where I grew up at the Lazy B5 Ranch. That's where I grew up, and I have enjoyed being there, being back home.
Well, thank you all so much for being here today. I really appreciate you taking the time out to talk to us from your perspective about Black love and family. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
What a lovely couple. Well, we aren't done yet. Here to continue the conversation from their perspectives are Reverend Alexander Johnson, who serves as the executive pastor right here on the Avenue, and his bride, Mrs. Kristen Johnson. Welcome. Thank you so much for being with us today. How are you two?
Doing wonderful.
We're good.
Great to
We're
be
good.
here.
All right, so tell us about when you two met. Was it love at first sight?
So, it was, in a sense, I think we were both in other relationships at the time. So we met, and I noticed her noticing me, and I had to rebuff her efforts. But then years later, or months later, when we were both available, we made a connection, and it was pretty soon after we first dated. Our first date was on August 28th, and then we were engaged in November. So.
Nice. So what was it that both of you felt that made you absolutely sure in those months that this was the one?
So for me, I knew that just the connection we had, and I always knew when I met the man in all of his flaws, and I could accept them and still be happy no matter what happened in life, I knew that was the right one. And he gave me all of those feelings. And like he said, we met, we got engaged soon after we started dating. And I remember just feeling overwhelmed with so many emotions and, thinking to myself, I really love him, but I don't know if he feels the same. And then, of course, like the next day when we went on another date, he confirmed that. And so I had peace. That was the other thing, peace. So that's how I knew.
Yeah, for me, it was that she grew up in a Christian home. She was just pleasant. That was really what kind of drew me to her and compelled me to want to pursue her. She was just a pleasant, still is, just a happy person. She's kind-hearted and she just has a good spirit about her. And it was attractive. I mean, she's beautiful, so that helped. But she was just very, very a nice person, and I really love that about her.
Good. So fast forward to now, you have children, but before that, you had a little bit of a period in your life where you dealt with infertility and, well, fertility issues, rather. What did those experiences do for your relationship?
That's a great question. So Kristen can probably walk through the timeline better than I can. We had multiple unsuccessful pregnancies prior to our son's successful pregnancy, that resulted in our son in October of 2018. But we were compelled to pray more in those trying times. It brought us together because we were literally confined in hospital rooms for significant periods of time with the complications of some of these pregnancies. So it just had us spending more time with each other, advocating for her in the hospital rooms. And it helped us to kind of fortify our faith in a sense, because we had to trust in God. Doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong. There were no tests that came back indicating that there was something out of whack. And so we just had to have faith in God, that the God would be faithful, and we'd have to trust God's plans, whatever the result was.
I definitely think it taught us how to work through challenges and the difficult times. I mean, our first miscarriage, I think we were married for, 7 months? So, we got pregnant sooner than we anticipated, so it was an unexpected challenge. And then the subsequent pregnancies followed, maybe 3-6 months apart. But I think one of the things it taught me, and I think I just saw a new side of Reverend Johnson, was just he has always been my advocate. And I've had multiple hospital stays, more than I can count in the last 5 years. And he has just been dedicated. There's not a night that I spent in the hospital that he wasn't there by my side. And it's just this new level of protection that he has given me through that. And so I am forever grateful. And I think, although we didn't like it at the time, and I feel like now being in the pandemic, I feel like there's nothing that we can't conquer through marriage. So I feel like it just prepared us for whatever comes our way in the future.
That's awesome. So now that you have 2 beautiful, healthy, and active children, how do you find the balance between catering to their needs while still making time for one another?
So it's definitely a challenge, and some months we are better at it than others. But I think we do a good job after we put them to bed. We have a routine every night, and so that helps. So we know by, let's say, 9 o'clock at the very latest, they're going to be in bed. And so we just dedicate that time to talking about our days, talking about our goals for the week. I'm very much a planner, so I like to know what's going on. Him, not so much. He just kind of, goes with the flow, which is good. We need balance in the relationship. But I think post-pandemic, we'll get back to our date nights and making sure that at least once every 2 weeks that we have that time set aside, kid-free, which can sometimes make you feel guilty, but it really is needed for your marriage.
Yeah, we created a list of date nights for post-pandemic a couple of weeks ago, horseback riding, going sailing, and just all type of different stuff that we want to do. But we've still had some date nights. We try to, on Fridays, reserve some time, whether it's during the day before we go pick up our kids from my mother, or right after they go to sleep. We try to reserve Fridays for date nights still, even if it's just on the balcony at the house, right? So trying to keep the intimacy and the romance there is a priority for us.
So you mentioned your differences with the planning. In which ways do your other differences make your relationship work?
Make it work or not work?
Both.
Oh. we are not the same. She is a planner. I plan for work. I'll plan stuff. But in the home and personally, I just kind of, like you said, I am a go with the flow, free spirit in a sense. She likes to have everything thought through and organized, and she has a intimate relationship with control. And so she likes to she's a boss, and I love that about her. And so it allows for us to have to strike that balance, and negotiate and collaborate, and just realize that we're partners, and that iron sharpens iron. She makes me better because where I lack in planning, she is proficient. Where she lacks in being able to laugh at otherwise not funny situations, I just laugh at everything, even if it's frustrating. So we strike a good balance, I think.
I think another one of our differences, he is an extrovert, and believe it or not, I am an introvert until I'm comfortable in a situation and get to know people really well. So I think it balances out because sometimes two extroverts is it's just a lot going on in the room. So I think, and obviously we can see it in our children too. We can see the mix in them for sure. So it's I always say marriage is a true reflection of self, because everything seems just magnified when you're in marriage. So you learn a lot about your own flaws, and you have to confront them and be intentional about making it easier on your spouse. We definitely have a lot of compromise in marriage.
So before we finish, a few of the couples I've interviewed, I've had them share one word that describes their time together as a married couple. So this time I'm going to switch it up and have you two give us one word that does not describe your time together as a married couple. What has it not been?
Easy.
Okay.
It hasn't been easy, and I don't think, I don't know that we thought it would be easy, but it has required work and prayer and counseling and therapy, and hard conversations, and learning how to communicate, how she communicates versus how I communicate, and being able to manage those different methods of communication while not denigrating one above below the other. So it's been a work worth working. Yeah.
It hasn't been predictable. And I think a lot of times going into marriage, you think it's going to be this fairy tale. And don't get me wrong, there are fairy tale moments. But when you start living with someone that you've never lived with before, and you're finding that they do things differently than you do, it really just takes time and patience. Some things you got to let go and just say, you know what, I'm going to do them myself and it will be fine. You have to pick your battles. You have to choose your battles. But I think the great thing about marriage not being predictable for us is that we have to work through anything that comes our way, right? And so then it's exciting, and you watch God, how he just transforms your marriage and transforms, one another through the process. So it's been, like he said, I like to know what's going on, but God continues to teach me that he is in control, and same thing when it comes to marriage.
Awesome. Well, that's a great note to end on. Thank you two both for being with us today and sharing your story of Black love.
Absolutely.
Thank
you. For having
you.
us.
Hello again. This is Reverend David and Kay Moore from the WABC Marriage Ministry, again sharing with you insights to questions and responses to questions that have been posed to us by couples from the congregation. Question number 3, Kay has in her hand. She's going to read it out and share her response.
How have you maintained your friendship and camaraderie in all the seasons of marriage? Newlywed, balancing career aspirations, adding babies, managing adult children, retirement, and in some case, caring for aging parents. You want to speak to that?
No, go ahead.
I think you can have a friendship and relationship with each other once you develop that relationship and friendship with Jesus Christ. In any of these, as a newlywed, it's all the emotion and love and all those things. And I don't think unless you develop the relationship with Jesus, you can get through any of these balancing career aspirations and adding babies and all those things, because it's stressful. It is a stressful time. But the one thing I think first of all, we made a commitment for our marriage. And secondly, we made time for each other. Even with having careers, and even if it was taking time during the day to put it on our calendar to have 15 minutes of talking during the day to talk about an issue. If it's after the kids came, if it was making sure that the kids were put to bed, and we gave ourselves 15, 30 minutes a night. Even when it's time to fix dinner or putting things on the plate with the kids, I think if we took the time to do it together, it makes a lot of difference. And, managing adult children is stressful because they don't want to listen. It's a lot, but we've been through every aspect of this, caring for aging parents and retirement, quote. But it's managing the friendship that we spend time with each other, date nights, vacations, just the two of us, even if it was overnight at a hotel. It's just important that we put God first. We make a commitment to our marriage and with each other, even if it's just working on a car or riding in a golf cart as he goes to the golf course, or going to look at houses when I wanted to do that. It's just spending, as we call it, fidelity, time with each other.
Yeah. Well said, Ms. Kay. I would add this note. 7 years into our marriage, I died to myself. And until we give up self, our marriages will suffer. And I praise God for that true event in my life. And from that moment forward, we called it ride or die. We started rolling. She became my road dog. And we traveled and we had good times, and we were intentional about reaching out to each other and talking to each other and sharing ups and downs. We became each other's confidant. But it took getting self out of the way. It takes being transparent. And the issues with children and careers, everything about that is impacted by how you see yourself versus how you see your marriage. And as I've shared with couples over almost 30 years of marriage work, your marriage is bigger than you. And you got to see it as being bigger than you. And you got to honor it and value it in that context. And if you do, you're going to bless your spouse. You're going to have a happy wife, and you won't be an angry husband. It's a beautiful thing.
And I want to add to that. When Reverend Moore talks about 7 years, it was 7 years into our marriage when I realized what the wedding vows say. I think we all repeat them, and because we're in the moment and it's a wedding and it's great. But I think if you listen to what you say and you have a relationship with Christ, you get convicted. And say, okay, I need to do what I said I was going to do.
So the second question is perfectly segued from the first. How do you keep the spark going in your marriage when you're trying to juggle a career, marriage, and children? It is fidelity. It is intimacy in all its colors. It is time. It is laughter. It's fellowship. It's fidelity. And like we say, the opposite of fidelity is that other context of fidelity. And so we just invite you to keep the spark alive, spend the time, die to self. Know that your marriage is bigger than that moment of upset, and watch God just bless it in exceeding abundance above all you could ask or think.
I also want to add, if you put your relationship with each other in front of your children,
Okay, now, come on.
they will understand the importance of your relationship with each other. And that's how you impact what happens. They won't mind you spending time with each other. They'll understand that. So spend the time with each other. Let your children understand that that's important to you. And they won't try to occupy all your time.
Amen. Good job, Ms. Kay.
Wasn't that great? Love is a beautiful thing. I hope that you all have been blessed by the stories shared this evening. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have a phenomenal and safe rest of the week. Tune in next Tuesday as we continue to put Black love on display with even more special guests, and as we seek to keep you updated on all that's taking place. We are Wheeler wherever, so although we can't be together physically, you're still on the avenue.